Greetings and salutations. My name is Don Dillard, and this is your weekly video note. So let's get started. To begin with, I'd like to draw your attention to the announcement I posted just today over the discussion board feedback. So what was this feedback about? Two things. First, if you're still not sure what I mean by short essay questions and answers, please look at the sample work I posted in previous announcements. I provided a link to that announcement in the announcement today. I provided sample work by two students. The first one was exemplary, which means it far exceeded the requirements. And then the second was it met the requirements and slightly exceeded them. And when I say that I'm looking for short essay answers, this is what I'm looking for. Now, that aside, there are some students who are not using the summary pro-con format on the discussion board responses. And the guidelines for that have been on D2L since the start of the term. And I provided a link to those guidelines in the announcement today. So your discussion board responses should include three things: a summary, a pro, and a con. I have a very particular idea about what the summary, pro, and con should be, and what those things are listed on the guidelines. Now, to the credit of some students, they are trying to follow those guidelines, and they're posting a summary, a pro, and a con, but the pros are essentially congratulatory, and that's not what I'm looking for in a pro. It's very nice to say nice things. Hey, great post, you're super awesome, you're a great writer, good job. It's nice to say stuff like that, but that's not what I'm looking for on the discussion boards. I'm looking for additional support or justification for your peers' views. I want you to pick out what is good about your peers' posts, and then explain why it's good. Now, what does a con mean? A con is not punitive. Hey, you're a bad writer, you should just give up. That's horrible. You shouldn't say that about anyone. What I want you to do is to identify weaknesses in your peers' writing and say, hey, here's some areas where I would work on improving. So that's what I want out of the pros and cons. So make sure on the responses you're providing a summary, a pro, and a con, and you're following those basic guidelines. Going forward, I'm not going to award credit if you don't follow those basic formatting requirements, which is to say if you don't have a summary, a pro, and a con, I'm not going to award credit for that. So make sure you're using a pro, con, and a summary in your responses on the discussion board. Okay. That aside, at this stage of the game, there should be improvement in the discussion boards across the board. And in fact, there are several students who are making very good progress. These are students who were struggling at the start. They weren't sure about what was going on, and I'm seeing a gradual arc of improvement. Their work each week is getting better and better. But there are also students who are just making the same grades. They're not, for whatever reason, they're making the same grades. And that's not a result I want to see. I want to see an arc of improvement. So please read my feedback in the gradebook for areas to improve upon. Also, if your peers are doing the responses right, they should be telling you areas in the cons to improve upon as well. Finally, if you need help or clarification about any of this, please reach out to me for help. All right, so that's all I'm going to say about discussion board feedback. I do need to mention a course correction. What's the course correction? Basically, the discussion boards, the written assignments, are supposed to be the primary mode of assessment, which is to say, when I'm judging how well you're improving the class, I look at the written exercises. The textbook exercises, they're open book. Some of the questions are a little tricky, but most of them are pretty straightforward. But that's not the primary mode of assessment. The quizzes are not the primary mode. But the point values on the quizzes were more than the point values on the written exercises. So the point values did not reflect the fact that the written assignments were the primary mode of assessment. And for that reason, there are students who have gotten into the habit of just skipping the written assignments altogether, presumably because, these students might believe that they can, earn the grade for the class just by doing the quizzes and skipping the written exercises altogether. So to reflect the fact that the written exercises are the primary mode of assessment, I have reduced the value on the quizzes from 1 point per correct answer to half a point per correct answer. So that's a change I want to make you aware of. It's worth noting that there are a few students who worked ahead on the Chapter 9 quiz. You still got the 1 point per answer, but for anyone who has not attempted the Chapter 9 quizzes forward, it's worth half a point now. This also had the added benefit of reducing the cost of marking an incorrect answer for some of the trickier questions. So if you miss some of the trickier questions, it won't hurt you as bad. So pros and cons to that course correction, which I made yesterday, March 22nd. Okay, on March 21st, I posted the schedule and a very brief video which talks about the next assignment. I also noted, and please note this, the second unit examination is due this week. the unit examination covers all of the material that you studied in this unit, which would be chapters 6 through 9. And they're worth a considerable amount of points. Even with the reduction in point from 1 point to half a point, they're still worth a considerable amount. There were students who missed out on the unit exam last time. Please don't miss out this time. Okay, that's all I have to say about any of this. If you're struggling with anything or if you need help, please reach out to me. I'm here to help you succeed and want you to succeed. That's all I have for now, and until next time, take care.